Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flip It Ain't Easy. Kind of just scrambling here to get here in time for the live, and I think I made it. So just wanted to do another impromptu live today. To be honest with you, I've been really enjoying the lives, and gives me a chance to really interact with you guys. Commenting on your questions or that type of thing is cool, but it's not quite the same. So hopefully we get a number of you guys that are roll in here and hang out with me today. Before we get started, going over sort of the ground rules again, like I always do. If you're watching this live, the only thing I ask is to hit that like button, but please comment, ask your questions. They do help drive the content, and it turns in maybe a 10-minute video into, we've been doing like an hour and 15 minutes, kind of where I cut it off, hour and 15 minutes, because I have a lot to do. I have a lot of stuff to handle in my garage and the heat and all that stuff. And as you can see, I'm really excited about it. And so yeah, comment down below or in the chat. If you're watching this after the fact, of course, comment down below. Of course, hit the like button. And even if you have a question to ask and you can't make the live, either myself or one of our awesome viewers will try to get you an answer to your question. So thank you for that. And the only thing I ask is hit the like button, because it does help the video. It does help the channel. So I appreciate that, guys. We have One Man Show in the house. Hello there. Hope you had a good 4th. I had a really good 4th. I made it so that my listings were done. I worked on Sunday, so my listings were done. I had that all ready to go. Went and played an early round of golf with a friend of mine in town, and got back in the afternoon. Threw on the tri-tip, made the potato salad, throw some chicken on the smoker, and we had a pretty good evening. And if you guys check me out on Instagram, I posted a real quick video just to give you an idea of how crazy it gets. And it got even worse. Crazy it gets at night on the 4th. Everyone seems to have those illegal bottle rockets and professional fireworks. And they were just going off like crazy. It was like a war zone. And maybe you had a chance to see that in the video, or maybe it's like that where you live. But out here, the regular fireworks in Vegas are allowed. They're legal, right? Some places around the country, you can't even use fireworks due to fire hazards and things like that. But we have just desert out here, so it's not that bad, not that much of a problem. But man, these people and their fireworks, they just go crazy with them. And they don't just stop at like 9 o'clock at night. They keep it going to like midnight. And we're talking loud explosions. So it definitely, my dogs weren't happy about it. My dogs were freaking out. Like they always do. And I'm sure my dogs aren't the only ones that go crazy over fireworks. But got the red, white, and blue today. Wore that yesterday while we were out and about, but thought it was kind of appropriate for this live stream. SMP Postcards, hello, how you doing? Thanks for hanging out with us. Got LSGS Rob, thank you. Ed's in the house, Ed the Reselling Writer. Good afternoon, John. Packing up my 4th of July orders. Made over $500 while on vacation. Nothing like making money when you're just doing nothing, enjoying yourself, and you get that cha-ching coming in. And it's in my opinion, one of the definite benefits of being a reseller versus having a 9-to-5. That's for sure. Prairie Pond, hello. Thank you for hanging out. UFO Tours, hello. Let's see. Carol C, hello from Maryland. Cooking dinner and listening to you. Well, hopefully I don't mess up your dinner. But awesome. Let's see. Ed the Reselling Writer is in the house, and he's reaching out to Mark here. Juan says, I do have a question about items that are very lightweight. I found out the tracking is one of the things that makes it about $5 now. Is tracking necessary, or does it have to be disclosed? Well, eBay wants you to provide tracking. They do grade you for your handling time, and if your handling is within the declared handling time with your business policies. If not, if you don't get that scan, that acceptance scan by USPS or UPS Ground or FedEx, you definitely will get a hit on your metrics. So now I do know that there are some categories that utilize that envelope, like I think sporting cards and things like that. I don't know how that tracking works. I could not use that method with my patches and pins. It just didn't give me that option. So I still do not know how that works. So maybe someone can answer that in the chat for you. Before I get to your questions and all that, though, the topic of this live stream was and is about scammers who buy or buyers who scam. And it's one of those things that I've had discussions with eBay supervisors, and it just brought me to the realization, and I guess we've kind of all figured this out anyway, and that is eBay, they are going to side with the buyer like 9.5 times out of 10 whenever there is an issue. And that's even, and in the case that I had, I think I told you guys about it last week, where I had a set of shelves. They're brand new, original packaging and all that stuff. Buyer sent back 2 of the 3 shelves, and one of the 2 shelves was like scratched up really bad. And of course, I can't do anything with this. It's an incomplete set. They ended up getting a 50% refund using the eBay refund tool that many of us get to use when we receive a return. And they contacted eBay, and eBay sent me a thing saying that, the case was open. And then I got something back about an hour later saying that the case was found in my favor, but they gave the buyer the difference back. So the buyer wins. The buyer wins. And, when talking to these supervisors, they don't want to get involved. They don't know. You can have videos, you can have photos, you can have all the proof in the world that you shipped what you shipped. And if they say item not described, which is what this buyer said, right? Item not described, they opened the return. I was on the hook for the return label and all that, and I was fine with that. But they can do anything to your item. They can send you anything back. And ultimately, the buyer is still going to get their money back. Now, they're serial scammers. I don't know what eBay's number is and how many times unique sellers have to report. You don't even have to file a report. Once you do the refund tool to take out a deduction, eBay is alerted to, and there's a report filed on the buyer. But how many unique sellers have to report these buyers? I don't know. And I do know it's a thing, even though, we as sellers don't get any feedback from eBay. And I know, I get it. Look, it's between eBay and that buyer. So if something happens to their account, eBay has no business giving us that information as sellers. I get it. But to come out with maybe a report, hey, in FY 2022, here's how many buyers that were maybe suspended or removed from the platform as a result of what we feel is scamming or inappropriate buyer behavior, that type of thing. That's all I want. I want to know that something's being done, not necessarily on a person-to-person basis. So put your comments in the chat. Just one of those things where, we get so invested in feeling wronged. And, I think we just need to write it off as some of you guys don't want me to say this, but I'll say it. And I'll bring my microphone closer. I didn't realize I had it far away. It's the cost of doing business, and you have to just write it off. Think of all the retail outlets, and I know we're not big corporations. Look at all the loss that they take year over year, and they put it into their business model. They write it off as a loss, and you could do the same thing. You're basically going to have to just treat it as a loss. Maybe you source something, you buy a large lot of goods, and maybe only a few of them are good. Guess what? You have to write that off too. It sucks. You're not going to be happy about it, but that shouldn't deter you from going back out and buying more stuff. And bad buyers shouldn't deter you from continuing to try to make this work online. We're talking if your return rate is 3%, I think is the average for most sellers. most of those returns that you're going to get are going to be legitimate. Something's going to be wrong. Maybe the buyer was wrong, but they're not trying to defraud you. And it's a very small percentage of those that you get back are going to be buyer scammers. So we talk about it a lot. It's good clickbait and that kind of thing. It happened to me. It probably, knock on particle board here, it probably won't happen to me for, another couple months. But I know that it's inevitable. It will happen. And I'm just going to keep moving forward. And that's my advice to you guys. One last thing, and we'll get to your questions in the chat, and that is the video I came out with yesterday. I was telling you guys how I screwed up, and I did screw up. If you haven't watched the video, go ahead and watch it. But in a nutshell, for whatever reason, I had a listing with a quantity of 2, and I must have piggybacked off of a similar type listing that I had, and I only had quantity of 1, and I sold that quantity of 1 like a week and a half ago. So when it sold again, I was like, wait, hold on. So I looked, wasn't there, of course. I looked more in the listing and I saw it said quantity of 2. And for me, it's this: how can I fix the buyer's problem? They have bought the item from me. They want the item. They're expecting the item. If I do anything other than deliver this item to them, it's going to be buyer disappointment. And this buyer, of course, has left like 7 negatives. It's not a good thing. So for me, I just wanted to fulfill the order and just be done with it. As far as the way I did it, I used drop shipping. And some of you out there were really kind of bothered by that. And I probably could have handled that a lot differently. In fact, I took a lot of your feedback to heart, and I went in and I said, okay, I'm going to contact the buyer, even though I got the message that the item was delivered, and let them know what happened. And I even gave him like I think I gave him a $10 refund on their partial refund, because I felt bad. I don't want to come off as looking, someone said I look slimy and all this stuff. If you ever watch this channel, watch more than just one video, you will know that that's not who I am. And it does mean a lot to me. The feedback you guys give me does mean a lot to me, because at the end of the day, we have nothing more than our integrity. And I could have handled that better. And I think I was caught up in the moment, caught up in trying to protect my account. And while it wasn't that bad of a thing, I don't think, it could have been handled a lot better. So to you guys who are new to the channel, just know I'm better than that. And my apologies out to anyone who thought of me the wrong way, because again, that's not who I am. I'm a very honest seller, and my only intention was to take care of that situation. And of course, I thought, let me talk to the viewers about this, because you're going to sell enough items in this business to know that it's going to happen. You're going to have a broken item. You're going to have an item that's out of stock. Maybe you put up the item by accident. Maybe eBay is going to give you one of those ghost listings where you've sold it months ago and somehow it got listed again. And that was just an idea that you can use maybe in your arsenal if you're in a pinch. But I don't endorse drop shipping whatsoever. And if you watch all the video, I'll tell you exactly why. So that's what I have today. Hopefully you guys are still with me. I have 55 people watching me. So awesome. I thought I'd break up the monotony. I was working on my collectibles account this morning. I said, let's break it up with a live stream for about an hour, and then get in that garage and just hustle. I am going to see my buddy Biscuit Butt tomorrow. We're splitting a 16 box mystery lot that I picked up with a really good price. Otherwise I probably wouldn't have bothered with it. And go in and grab that kind of thing. I'm really going to start ramping up my sourcing now, because we're getting into that period where you want to start building up your inventories for Q4, and you don't want to be caught in a situation where here's October and you're looking for stuff to sell in Q4. So just something to consider. That's my plan of action right now. UFO Tours is in the house. Thank you for hanging out with us. We have Semper Fi 1918. Good afternoon. Batman AZ, greetings. How you doing? Got your email. Checked out your email. Just haven't had a whole lot of time to look at your store, but keep making positive changes to it, and you'll be all right. Tommy Bernard podcast is in the house. We got Biscuit Butt. Hopefully your sales went off like fireworks. I just 5 minutes before the show came, my mail carrier came and picked up the packages, and I was pretty happy because I didn't want to get disrupted during the live stream, and I didn't want to have to make that trek to the post office. But I had I call them those USPS Santa bags is what I call them. They're big bags they give you when you have a lot of items to pick up. And I had one of those full, and I have just a large stack of UPS ground packages I have to take this evening, just down the street before they close. So as far as volume wise, it was okay. Numbers wise, there were a lot of smaller sales than normal. So again, I attribute that to my sourcing, and we're working on getting more higher ticket items in the store, so that changes. Still dealing with the summer slowdown. I think my stats are down 30-35%, which is alarming, given that I'm still making a lot of sales numbers wise, which is why I made that video about a week ago. We think about how many items we list in a day, and we think, I hit my goal. But are you putting a lot of value in your store? And I need to do a better job of that myself. Alabama Flip says 3 nights straight till midnight fireworks. It's like, for me, I'm 48. I'll tell you guys that. I have no problem doing that. I think after the first 15 years of my life, fireworks are cool, but they're not that cool. That makes sense. I'll go out and watch them for 15 minutes, and I'm good with it. I'm over it. Few of the same bangs and few of the same colors in the sky. I just don't know the fascination. Maybe some people really like it. Maybe they had great experiences when they were kids, and therefore it sort of carried over in their adulthood, and they just look forward to large, extravagant fireworks shows. For me, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. Semperfi 1918, sales for me slow, but picking up, getting low bidders. Yeah, a lot of low offers for me. And, my other account, my collectibles account, I'm not asking a whole lot for those items anyway. I think this last weekend, I sold a patch. Archie contacted me and said, well, hey, how's it feel to sell one of these patches for $150? I'm all, what are you talking about? I just don't really look at that account, but maybe in the evening. And I didn't realize that someone bought that one of my older patches for that much. So that was kind of awesome. Ed, the reselling writer. I was surprised how many sales and offers I was actually getting during the holiday weekend. There was quite a bit of activity. Not so much yesterday, I don't think, but over the weekend, I think there was. And wow, were there deals out there to be had for sourcing? And I found a number of different deals that I was going to pick up, or at least make an effort to bid on. Some of these sites, these large liquidation sites, they have you bid on these things. And I just got so caught up, got so busy with the things I was doing with eBay, got so busy with people over and the barbecue and all the stuff that I was doing that I really missed out on a big opportunity. So if you are looking at opportunities to source, usually it's on the holiday weekend. So next one we have coming up is Labor Day. Not sure it's going to be as big of a deal as like the 4th of July, but definitely look out for sourcing opportunities during that kind of a period. BXX32, hey, John, looking forward to the stream. I am too. I want to see how it turns out. I'm not feeling 100% today, but I got to tell you, it's not going to stop me. I have my Mio, my water, my energy drink, and it's going to power me through. Sometimes we just don't feel it. We're just not feeling like today. I'm really not feeling the eBay thing. I was actually looking forward to the live stream, but as far as eBay, one of those days I'm not feeling it, but I'm going to power through it. I'm going to do the best that I can. And if you ever get that way, I'm sure I'm not the only one that just says, yeah, I just would rather be doing something different. I enjoy reselling, don't get me wrong, but today, just maybe the weekend was just too much. And that combination with me getting old and all that noise, you just aren't feeling like anything. You just want to veg and do nothing. Batman AZ says, tracking not required. This is for those envelopes. I ship 90% of my orders via USPS letter mail. Awesome. Okay. Um, Wonder how that would work out, though, if you had a dispute from a buyer, or is the value of the item really not that big of a deal? You can give them a refund if you get someone that says that. SMP postcard says, or SM postcard says, standard envelope does not require an accepted scan, just a scan somewhere en route. Okay, so that's good to know. I just think that's category specific, like sports cards and things like that. I guess postcards in your case, where you can actually utilize those envelopes as a shipping option on eBay. I don't get that when I'm listing these little, $20 and $30 pins and stuff. So Ed says, want your advice, John. Sold Keen boots. Buyer claimed they were damaged. They aren't no returns on FBMB unless purchase protection route. Try to appeal, but what's your advice? Now, when you say FBMB, what is that? Facebook Marketplace. Okay. Usually I just look at it as Marketplace. Well, I've never had an issue with the few items I've sold on Marketplace. I think I've actually shipped 2 items on Marketplace, and I didn't have a problem. And the local orders, they inspected it before they loaded it in their vehicle. So I don't know. It seems to me like there isn't that much of a they're not as organized as eBay is when it comes to that type of thing. And that's not saying a lot. eBay is not really all that organized, but they have policies in place. So I guess I'm not aware of their policies when it comes to that. So maybe someone will have that answer for you here in the chat or after the fact in the comments that have dealt with that type of situation. If you do, please comment down below or in the chat and help Ed out here with that. Austin says, hey you back. Thank you for hanging out with us today. UFO tours. I like the topic of this video. I had buyers scamming me all the time on eBay because they can easily get away with it. Even with tracking and signature, they can always claim they didn't receive the package. Well, they can, and they can claim it all they want, but eBay, as far as determining who's right or wrong when it comes to a receipt of package, eBay is going to side with the seller when it comes to that. I've had a situation where we delivered an electronics item of some sort. UPS ground, of course, delivered it to their address, scanned it as delivered, and I'm only assuming maybe a porch pirate came by, snagged the package. Now they're claiming item not received, even though the tracking shows it was. eBay sided with me and closed the case in my favor. So what I'm kind of more referring to is the packages that are sent back to you. Maybe they've taken something out. Maybe they're not returning everything back to you. And remember, they have to return the packaging as well. They can't just return the item in some random box like they did with those shelves. All the accessories, manuals, and the condition needs to be the same. Okay. They can't receive a new item and it's all banged to hell and they send it back to you expecting a refund. I call that the Amazon mentality, because really, if you buy something from Amazon, Amazon doesn't care what condition you send it in. I don't even know if they care if you send back the item that you bought, to be honest with you. And I can only tell you that because as a person who buys liquidation lots from Amazon, you get all kinds of stuff in those boxes. And these people come onto eBay, they think they have the same free-for-all that they have with Amazon, and then they find out otherwise. And then they contact eBay, raising a stink as to why did this seller not give me a full refund? And eBay caves in almost every time. So to me, come on, that you sent back an incomplete return. That you sent back a different unit in some cases, and you're going to have the nerve to contact eBay and to get your money back. Well, seems to me these people have played the game already and they know that they're going to get their money back, and that's why they do it. Let's see. Batman Arizona says, I'm way too high volume to ship using eBay. And as long as you're satisfying eBay's requirements, so it's not affecting your metrics, then hey, keep doing what you're doing. Let's see. We have one busy mama to you. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Biff Bofa says maybe if eBay wants to make extreme revenue, they could allow sellers to leave negative feedback for a $5 fee. I really miss the days of exposing crummy buyers. I'd gladly pay to have it when I need it. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people who would actually pay for the satisfaction of leaving a legitimate negative feedback. I would reserve that paying that fee for moments where I really feel like, not like, hey, I need to cancel the order. I'm not going to pay for it, that type of thing. My 3-year-old, knows how to use eBay and they took my phone and bought this, whatever. That kind of a situation, but maybe where you get someone who is just like the one I dealt with, who sent me back 2 shelves out of 3 and thought everything was cool. And I don't even think you can take an incomplete return back to, say, Walmart. They could see that you haven't returned everything back. I don't think Walmart would accept the return. Maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like someone that would be working behind the counter, knowing that you're just trying to rip them off, would give you a refund. And that's kind of how I felt. One Man Show says, my father got attempted scam buyers on his first 2 inquiries of a sale on eBay, trying to pay outside of eBay. Those 2 different instances discouraged him from trying again for a long time. The problem is he probably has a 0 or a very low feedback account. And there are buyers out there who will see it and they will try to take advantage of your inexperience as a seller. Okay. And for that reason, I would always try to create an established account by buying stuff. If you're looking at buying or selling and you don't have time to wait to build up an account, go out and buy a bunch of $1 recipes, digital download recipes, and from different sellers. Maybe buy 20 of them, spend $20 doing it, learn how to cook while you're at it. And you get that feedback. And that higher number feedback will maybe detour sellers or buyers from contacting you trying to do that. But never go outside the eBay messaging system for that reason, because once you're outside the eBay messaging system, you have no protection at all from eBay. Tim McCann, John, always appreciate and look forward to learning from you. Thanks. Well, thanks, Tim, for hanging out. I appreciate it. Like you guys know, selfishly, I learn from you guys as much as you learn from me. And so I really, really appreciate you guys. Again, without you guys, I'd be sitting here talking to myself for 15 minutes. After no one showed up, I'd click off. So the fact that you guys are here, we have 78 people in the chat, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Even the ones that never comment, I know you're there, and maybe you just don't want to get involved in the chat and participate. That's fine. Maybe you're working in the background, maybe cooking dinner. That's cool. But you know what? Just hit that like button anyway. And that way, I know you're there, even though you're not commenting. I appreciate that. Biscuit Butt says, I believe without tracking, your percentage would fall below qualification for top rated seller. It would. I think, though, for some sellers, it's not that big of a deal. Top rated seller does give you some benefits, but it's not the end of the world if you're not top rated seller. And as long as you're still making the sales for whatever item you're posting, that metric isn't going to be that important. We have Savage Pickers are in the house. Sales were decent over the weekend. Drunk driver hit 2 of our cars parked in the street outside of our house. Cars are totaled. Bummed about that. Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. So that's going to be a mess, because anybody who's tried to buy a car recently knows that the price of automobiles are just crazy high right now, higher than they have been in years. So hopefully you're able to get all that straightened out without a lot of out of pocket expenses. BXX32 says, sold a stereo receiver for parts or repair, saying HDMI didn't work. Buyer opened a return request for defective item, clearly did not read the description. Well, I got him to man up and close the case. Good for you, because you can sell an item for parts or repair. And it depends on the rep you get, really, when you call eBay for assistance on it. I had, a couple years ago now, you guys know the story, a tablet that I couldn't get to power on. So I said, it's broken. It doesn't work. Parts of repair. Someone bought it for like 10 bucks. And they opened a case stating that they got the thing to power on. Cool, you got it to work. It's in better condition than what I shipped it as. But because it was password protected with someone's password, it wasn't my tablet. It was just one of those customer return things that they're opening it, an item not as described, because I didn't disclose the password issue. Well, how was I supposed to know? Well, they won that case. And I had another item not as described for a parts of repair. They stated that it didn't work. And in the listing, it stated it didn't work. It was for parts of repair. Contacted eBay and they closed the return. So just depends on who you get and who that particular rep is willing to believe. They will side with the buyer more often than not, though. I tell you that. If it's questionable, the buyer is going to get the benefit of the doubt. You're just going to have to pay the return and deal with it when you get it back. Why Worka says eBay is run by idiots. Every full-time seller fully understands that. It's the simple, or TS the simple. Well, I just think you have a lot of people that are out of touch. So the executives make the decision. And if you're one of the execs watching this video right now, I'm sorry, but let's just be real about it. From someone who worked in the corporate world, I can tell you there's a lot of people that had pretty smart, pretty bright. They wouldn't be in the position they're in if they weren't, but they were out of touch. They didn't know how certain aspects of the business worked. And therefore, when a decision came down the pike to fix that particular situation, they have no idea how to address it because they have never sold on eBay. They look at other things like, well, how does this affect our bottom line? How much money is this going to cost me? How's this? Here's a big one. How's this going to affect my department's budget? So if I'm over managed payments and this department's over, I don't know, the listing platform, how's this going to affect my budget? And if it's going to affect their budget to where they're not going to be able to take care of or do some of the things they wanted to do within that fiscal year, then they probably will just, I don't care if a seller needs this or not. We're just going to kind of, punt it, which is my opinion of what's happening with the immediate payment for all seller or all buyers when you take a best offer. We still don't have that 100%. And, why not? eBay, they told us it was going to happen. Now, maybe they're waiting until Q4, that Q4 winter seller update type of thing. Let's hope. But eBay is out of touch. Let me just put it that way. And, every time I talk, in a way where it's offensive to eBay, it seems like they take it out on me. And maybe this is just me. My sales just drop even further. I doubt there's a conspiracy theory against me, but sometimes we just notice little things like that. And eBay, if you're out there, I'm just being honest. I'm sorry. I love you guys. You guys are my bread and butter when it comes to sales, but you got to do better. You got to be in touch with the seller. And I think that's lost. And no one will admit it because there's a lot of people that they're sharp and they just think that they're, in touch with what we need, and they're really not. Base card collector. I had a longtime eBay buyer scam me for $500. He knew eBay would side with him. He did a switch and bait. That's what they do. And then they call and they say, well, why did this? The good thing is we're getting our money anyway. So, we can deduct that 50%, which I know some of us would want to deduct 100% when we get scammed. It's that feeling that we got violated. And why should I have to eat 50% when I did nothing wrong? It's that feeling of that. So at least eBay isn't, taking all of it back from us. They're making the buyer whole. I mean, whole, even though they probably have your items still. They're aiding and abetting the bad buyers, but you can't let it eat at you to where you just stop doing what you have to do to keep making sales on eBay. Biscuit Butt says, beware with parts and repair items. Buyers will take parts they need and file the false INAD. They do. They do. I mean, I can't imagine why this person only wanted one of 3 shelves. That just doesn't make sense to me. But, it is what it is. Disgruntled Octopus is in the house. Morning, all. How are you? Thank you for hanging out with us today. Got 83. I'm trying to get up to 100. So hit that like button. As YouTubers, we're trying constantly to do better. At least me. I'm trying to do better, trying to get out more content, get out content that you guys want to watch, come up with topics you guys want to talk about. And, by hitting that like button, we're at 87 now. So awesome. Trying to get up to 100. I remember when I was doing this live stream stuff, a year ago, and we were only getting like 20 people. But I think whenever you're dealing with YouTube, eBay, all the same things, really, you're trying to build up something, whether you're trying to build your eBay store, right? You're adding more items to your store. You're getting more traction in your store. You're upping the number of impressions you have overall in your store as compared to a 100-item store. You're now at 1,000. You can go back and see, wow, I'm getting a lot more traction here. And it's no different on YouTube. So getting these numbers up, we're at 85. It's awesome. You guys, we have 85 people here that have taken time out of their afternoon, evening to listen to me ramble about eBay and things that may or may not affect them. So thank you guys 100% for putting up with me. I appreciate it. One Busy Mama to You says, I feel you were also trying not to disappoint the buyer for making sure they received their item quickly. It is. And I was actually pleased. I was actually really excited that, hey, Amazon's going to get this thing to them on the day I'm going to ship it. So, hey, as a buyer, I got it faster than what eBay said I was going to get it, regardless if it came in a Coca-Cola box or an Amazon box. I got my item, and I did it in such a way where I set it up as a gift so they wouldn't put the receipt in there. I put a little note, hey, thank you, put the buyer's name, that type of thing. And, I got the message they received it today. Didn't get a reply back from the buyer on eBay to, when I explained to them what happened. But you know what? I think in the world of eBay, if you never hear from a buyer again, that's a win. And I really am not on eBay to make friends. Certainly don't want to get in long, drawn out conversations and this, that, and other thing. So if they never contact me again, then I know it worked out just fine. Biff Boffo says, how is the new grill? So I got one of those Blackstone grills. It's one of the 30-inch cooktops, and that thing is awesome. We made last week some Benihana style fried rice, got the shrimp, got the steak, and it came out great. And, to me, you can make these kind of meals in your kitchen, but when you're making, I'm one of the messiest cooks ever because I'm messing this pan and I'm getting this other thing out, and I've got a stack of dishes in the sink by the time I'm done cooking. With this Blackstone grill, you just clean up is real easy with like some water and, the heat in the water. And you take those scrapers and just scrape it right into, has like a cool little rear, for lack of a better term, like you can like put all the waste in the rear of the cooker, and it's just a snap. And to me, for anyone out there is like I am when it comes to cooking, I enjoy it. I'm not going to stop, but I'm just a mess, and my wife is happier, and that's all I can ask for. So if you're kind of on the fence, definitely get one of those. That's what I'd recommend. Semper5 says, hit the like button. Please do. We have 80. So I guess 5 of you got tired of hearing me, but let's get that up to 100. I want to see us get up to 100 on this channel as far as watching the live streams, because more people on these live streams mean we can actually get more content, more questions, not just me up here rambling about something I think is important that you may not think is important. Let's see. Renee Kingberry says, if you shipped it from Marketplace, there should be a return button for the buyer. So check on that. But I'm thinking that buyer already found that return button, if I'm not mistaken, based on what they said happened here. One Man Show says, I have a purse that can be worth about 40 to 60, but has a big stain on the bottom. I'd rather not attempt to clean it. Do you think it's still worth selling with the disclaimer, certainly, because there's people out there who know how to clean those kind of materials. Maybe it's, a pain. You don't want to ruin the leather or whatever it is, but there's people out there who either are going to put up with it at a good price or are going to maybe find a way to make it work. Wyworka says, shipping sports cards via the eBay method is useless. The mailer can only be approximately 1/4 inch thick and does not give the protection an expensive card deserves. Plus, there are issues with tracking. So that's interesting to know. I have some sports cards here. I have a limited edition Shohei Ohtani rookie. It's one of First Graded is the name of the company. Anybody know about First Graded? I know it's not PSA or Beckett, but the name of the company is called First Graded, and it's PSA 10, or it's a graded 10. We've got a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rookie that I also have from the same company that's graded 10. So I'd like to know what you guys think about that, of that company as far as value. I know the company you get it graded through also does give it more value, if I'm not mistaken. And I know that from what you're telling me here, that I couldn't sell these in those hard cases because it's just too thick for that envelope. So that's good to know. Ping G says the item can only be priced $20 or less to use the eBay standard envelope. Okay. And I don't know if I'd want to, if it's more than that, you might want to consider insuring it, that type of thing. Let me find some questions here. Dorothy Oshana says, how often are you asked to update your payout info? First time I've been asked to update so I can receive my payouts. I only asked because this happened after I sold something international. They may have asked me like a month after I went to manage payments, but I went on the beta. So it was September of 2019 is when I went to manage payments, sort of on a test basis. So I really never had that issue. So this might be, if you're relatively new, they may just want you to verify that, but they don't constantly ask me or anything like that. I don't think they ask sellers that have been established. So if you do something new, if you're selling, like in this case, international, or you're selling, maybe you just got in a bunch of super rare, whatever, and you start selling higher end items, eBay is going to maybe take a look at it. And they're protecting themselves. They're protecting the buyer experience. I get it. So just don't take exception to it. Just give them the information they need and just move on. Tommy Bernard Podcast says, eBay can't roll out immediate payment for all at once. Has already yanked the stock. Once immediate payment is fully rolled out, it will expose the real number of buyers versus fake accounts. And sort of like we call it the Twitter effect, right? You tell your shareholders, you tell your advertisers, this is how many buyers we have on the platform. So for that reason, we want X amount of dollars for our advertising. I know you want to offer us this, but if you want to advertise on this platform, this is the number of buyers we have, and this is what we demand. Can you imagine if those advertisers got wind of what's really going on? And they'd probably want some money back, or there'd be a big problem, which is something that there's a lot of people talking about going on at Twitter with the bots or the fake accounts. One Man Show says, general question, if you know at minimum I will be constantly selling on eBay part-time, would I subscribe to an eBay store as soon as I reach 250 items? For me, I'd say about 100 items is the number for me. And the reason is, and this depends on your category as well. You are dealing with high competition. You're going to want to have the markdown sale. You're going to want to have a coupon, the public coupon you can have in your listing. If you're niched out, maybe you still have good competition, you can then give coupons, private coupons, to a buyer where they're going to maybe look at your store for repeat business. You're an everything seller. Those private coupons don't mean anything. But just for those two benefits, I would definitely look into having that store. And you're going to get your quarterly supplies coupon, depending on the size of your store. Guys, it's the 5th of July. And right now you should have that code in under your subscriber discount section on eBay. Use it. For instance, you can go and get like a 25 pack of eBay branded boxes. And after you apply like that $25 coupon, it's only a few bucks out of your pocket. And it's definitely, it pays for itself. Definitely take advantage of it as soon as you can. You guys are, again, awesome. A sale came through. Wasn't a big sale, but awesome that it seems like whenever I have these live streams, I get a sale. So thank you. L. Cruz says, has anyone noticed more stringent requirements on the insurance policy of USPS? Sold a PS4 and the buyer received an empty box stamped missing contents, and USPS denied my claim and appeals. That's horrible. I do know about the stamp. Actually, I shipped out a 60 some odd dollar Italian pin to San Diego, and the tracking was like missing. It got to San Diego, but never made it to its destination. Buyer was very patient, saying, hey, what's going on? And then, of course, I get a package in my mailbox, and it's in that bag that says, we're sorry for the damage to your item. And the item wasn't damaged, just had like a lot of paint. I guess they spilled black paint all over the package. And I had it packaged in such a way that the internal contents of this for this little pin wasn't going to get damaged anyway. So we ended up shipping it back out to the buyer. But that's horrible that they can acknowledge that it's missing contents and they still denied your claim and appeals. Wow. I don't know what to tell you on that. Again, that's not going to happen to you very often. It's probably a couple $100 sting at least. And you're just going to have to write it off and move on. I mean, that's not the answer you want, but you really don't have anything that you can do in that case. Water Baby says, I sell niche one-of-a-kind vintage that often sits waiting for the right buyer. Anything after the 30-day rollover that is over the free 200 listings costs me 35 cents per listing every rollover. Yeah, I know. With my account, I have the basic store on that other than not my main account, but my secondary account where I sell my collectibles. And once I hit that 250 item threshold for auctions, then you have to pay the 25-cent insertion. And if you want to have a buy it now price in there, it's an extra 10 cents. So just eBay is going to get their money. Just keep listing. Even if you've exceeded the 250 or whatever your number is and you have more to go, don't allow that to hold you back. Just keep listing. Dorothy says, great increase in small sales over the weekend as I've been keeping my taskbar clear and sending offers. I ended up getting about 5 sales on Mercari over the weekend. And I only have 10% of my store ported over. So, again, and these are items that I'm like, these have been sitting on eBay for a long time. I'm glad to sell them. And just like a different kind of buyer. It's anything under 20 bucks that's been sitting in your store, consider going and cross-posting. I don't care if you use Prime Lister, the one I use, if you want to pay more and use List Perfectly, or if you want that free one that has a bunch of bugs on it. Get your items ported over from eBay to these other sites. And I think that's part of the reason also why eBay is losing a lot of their buyers and sellers is because you have these other sites. I mean, Whatnot is taking a lot of people off of eBay right now. They're able to sell their items in hours, whereas they'd be sitting on eBay for months on end. And I think more people, if Whatnot was allowing everyone to come through at once, more people would be over there right now. Tommy Bernard podcast says eBay reports GMV shareholders, which includes auctions and offers that don't pay as well as cancellations. eBay reports these as income. Historically, immediate payment will kill their reports. There you go. I'm curious what eBay has to say about that. Anyone from eBay is probably shaking their head. But of course, they can't comment on anything. But we all know what's going on. Well, most of us know what's going on. No One Design 2 says, hey, John, happy 4th to you and the gang from ridiculously hot and humid NC. Well, it's hot out here. It's a different kind of heat. It's that dry heat. Walk by your oven when it's open. That's the kind of heat we get out here in Vegas. In my opinion, eBay is discouraging sellers from listing over their 200 free listings per month threshold. It cost me $35 in extra fees that month. Hard to keep cost of items down and make a profit. I get you. When sales get better, though, that $35 isn't going to be as big of a sting, though. I promise you. Ping G says, I was in managed payments for almost 2 years before they asked me for all the info again. But you know what? Even if they ask you again, just provide it. I know it's inconvenient. You have to take 10 minutes to find all that routing information and whatnot. But just give them what they need and just move on. Richard Flory, you mentioned content request questions, trying to find reliable, profitable suppliers. Checked out a lot. So for nothing I trust or can make profitable. I do work with a couple of U.S. manufacturers. Well, any of you guys watch my videos know that that's one of the toughest things I deal with is sourcing. Yes, I could do the yard sale thing. I can do the thrift store thing, which I have done. But for me, the sweet spot is being able to source liquidation. And I guess that's kind of what I always seem to fall back towards is liquidation. You can go to a site called liquidationmap.com to find a liquidator in your area. You could start there. Marketplace. There's people that are offering stuff that you can flip. I know there's people right now that go onto eBay, look for people who grossly underprice their items on eBay and buy their item and flip it. I came across an item. It's a tray for a Xerox printer. They had it listed as brand new, and those things sell for $400 or $500 retail. On eBay, they sell for about $200. This guy, and he's based on the other side of in Connecticut. So this person had it selling for, I think, a $39.99 plus $8.95 shipping. And we're talking about a 15-pound, 20-pound box. You're going to lose money on that as a seller. What I did was I just reached out and said, hey, I don't know if you know this, but this item, you couldn't ship this item to me if I wanted to buy it and make any money after fees, just to give you a heads up. So just trying to be nice. I could have bought it, got it back here and flipped it for $100 easily, but I didn't want to be that guy. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. If that's what you do, that's how you source. That's definitely a way to do it. But for me, I'm not going to do it. Tommy Bernard podcast says it's worth having a store immediately. Having a store gives you tools to make more sales much easier. It just is. I always thought that the eBay would give you more of a boost for having a store. Maybe back in the day, not anymore. It's just one of those things where you have to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, do everything that eBay's asking you to do, play their game, play the promoted listing game. It's obvious, guys. That's what eBay wants us to do. Of course, they want more money from us. The people who are willing to give them more money in promoted listings are just going to be promoted at a higher rate. And I'm going to prove that, not today, but in later videos. And the goal of mine is to try to come out and prove that to you guys. Biff Boffo says, dang, I thought that cha-ching was mine. Come on, you get yours later. But I think hopefully we got a lot of cha-chings during this live stream that you guys ended up with. I can't be the only one. Lord, oh boy, Ibalta? I think that X is silent. I just started my first store after selling on eBay for just over a year and was going through the first steps and got to the video step. Do you see any value in using video in your store intro? If you are a niche seller, and I tried this with my other store, I tried making a compilation of all the patches and the pins that I had laid out. And I tried doing that. I even added a little royalty-free music in the background and some little things, little texts that pop up for them, and I thought it was really cool. And they rejected it. And I don't know if they didn't like the format. I know it wasn't very long. It was less than 150 megabytes. I think that's what they asked for. I just gave up. I mean, I really didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but I can see if you are going to be a seller or are a seller that continually has that same kind of product coming in, I'm not going to get any more of these pins. After I'm out of them, I'm going to be off to the next batch of whatever. So for me, it just doesn't make sense to upload or tinker with the video or spend a lot of time with creating a video for that account. If they reject this particular one I made in 10 minutes, I'm not going to spend any more time. But if it's something you're going to be selling just continuously, you have that replenishable product, then certainly it's worth the time. I think it really is a good look for your store, makes you look professional versus a store who may not use it. No One Design 2 says the store subs are designed to get sellers into eBay subscriptions. If you do the math and the constant auto relist eBay does it, forces sellers to sub to eBay sooner than later. I agree. They have people in there that are really focused on how do we squeeze more blood out of this turnip called the seller on eBay. And of course, returning value to the seller costs money. So they're trying to retain that money. They're trying to bring in that money. So you're definitely right when it comes to that. They're trying to find ways to keep that revenue coming in, and to say, okay, I don't know what the fee is if you don't use the, if you're just doing it month to month, but it's like $5 cheaper if you commit to a year. Let's say you cancel in 6 months, they're going to come after you for that unpaid balance, whether you stay with eBay or not. Tommy says, I don't see any value in doing a video. eBay is a search engine. People generally don't shop by store. I don't use categories or anything. It doesn't affect sales. And I thought that way before I started selling these collectibles, but we get a lot of people coming back. I'd say at least 15 to 20% of my buyers are repeat buyers on that other store. My everything store, not at all. I'll be lucky to get the same buyer over the 2 or 3 year period, whereas I'm constantly coming across the same buyers in this particular store. Teresa says, I wish eBay would do what Marketplace does. After an offer is made and accepted it takes it out of their account. Very convenient. Or Mercari. I just love Mercari's model. I sell the same type of stuff on eBay and Mercari, yet people receive these items. They accept the item. I get the money right away. And guess what? Buyer can't come back and say there's a problem with my item. It's a closed deal. It's a done deal. And I don't hear a lot of people complaining about the Mercari buying experience. I sold a broken tool. It's a broken torque ratchet or whatever it is. I'm not into tools, but of course, labeled out what was the problem, showed extensive photos. I sold it for like $15. I guess the guy's going to fix it. Got it, accepted it. I got my money. And on eBay, someone would have probably tried to fix it, found that they couldn't after a few days, and then opened a case to return it, or a return case to return the item not as described or whatever. And here we go, playing that game again. You don't hear about a lot of scammers on Mercari. I just don't hear about it. It's because of the way the system is set up. And eBay really needs to get out of 1990 and start trying to find changes that actually work for other sites. Yes, we want eBay to still be eBay, but I really think the return policy is a put off to a lot of sellers on the platform. We have the Edgy Indian is in the house. Thank you for hanging out with us today. And Tommy says, no one is going to give their sources away ever unless they don't care about them. And you're right. I've on many occasions said, hey guys, if you know of some great sourcing opportunities, send me an email. Of course, no one's going to do that because I'm now going to be competing with you, not only with sourcing those items, but selling those items on eBay or Mercari or whatever it is. And nobody wants to add that level of competition. Like we say in this channel, flipping ain't easy. And it ain't easy when you have to constantly compete with other people trying to sell the same thing. And we have 101 people right now watching. So, wow, that's awesome. Thank you guys for allowing me to see that happen, that goal. Now I guess we're going to try to shoot for 125. So 100 people, 105. So all it takes is this goofy guy getting in front of you guys, and you will tune in. So awesome. Thank you for hanging out with us, hanging out with me today. Really, I do appreciate that. We're about an hour in. We'll probably spend about another 10 to 15 minutes, just so you guys know to put your questions in chat, and we'll try to knock them out before we leave. Boxer Puppy Dog Daisy May says, I believe that promoted listings is what's driving buyers and good sellers from the site. A bad seller can go on eBay and pay a large promoted percentage. You're right. Again, the last video I came out with was talking about drop shippers. Done it. I know it's a very taboo thing. I don't do it anymore. I actually frown upon it, even though I use that tactic to solve my problem. But if you think about it, drop shippers are hurting the everyday seller. And if you go in and just do a search, just put whatever item you want to put in there. I mean, I guess there are some items drop shippers don't do, but I looked up these light bulbs, and guess what? When I did a search for the same light bulbs I was selling, the first 3 entries were from drop shippers. They had a horrible sell-through rate on their store. We're talking one store had 5,000 items for sale and only had 82 sales in the last 90 days. Yet eBay felt strongly about them as a seller and their listing to put them high up in search. That tells me there's only one thing that they're doing differently. They are promoting the heck out of their item. They're bumping up the price, and they're promoting their item to get these unsuspected buyers that say, that may not know that this item's only worth 20, but they're selling it for 35. And most buyers will not go to page 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 in a search. They'll maybe go to page 1, look through the results. If they find what they're looking for, great. If not, they'll probably try something else. Let's see. We have Thrifting by JL. How you doing? Thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for checking in. I certainly appreciate it. Lee Hayes 1. I see a lot more return pallet buyers selling at the flea market this year. And that's not a bad idea. It isn't. It's like having a bin store. Jenna's in the house.
Hi.
She's on break.
I'm alive.
So she's on break. She's still in training, but she has to commute upstairs to go to her new job. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I think the whole bin store phenomena is still a big thing around the country. And for those who don't have a bin store, the flea market is the next best thing. Get a big pallet of small items and sell them for a couple bucks each. You can easily double, triple what you're into that pallet for. Thrifting by JL says, always watch your videos. Thanks for always being real. Facebook Marketplace and garage sales have always been good the last couple of months. Just hoping eBay sales pick up. I do too. Again, I try to be real and telling you what I'm watching, other non-eBay related stuff about how the economy is. And it's really hard to get encouraged about Q4, the prospects of Q4, when you have that kind of thing going on. I don't know what to say. I really don't. Hopefully we get better sales once we get out of July, August. Now there's some videos out there where people say, you know what, there's no such thing as a summer slowdown. Historically, there is. The numbers will say that there is. I think as sellers, we can do better. I can do better at getting my items sold and I've already been doing that a little bit by getting my cross posting and stuff like that. But I'm going to start working on promoted listings and seeing the impact of that. I know Tommy's a big supporter of higher promoted listing rates. Works for him. I'm starting to think that's probably the next strategy for me. Because you still have those buyers out there. Maybe you have only 50% of the buyers. But even if it's 50% of the buyers, there's still people buying out there. And you want to make sure you're at the top of that search or near the top of that search to get those fewer buyers to buy your items. Has anyone noticed, looking at the eBay store subscription, the basic and premium store benefits are about the same except for the insertion before the premium store had inventory manager as a benefit? Yeah, the number of listings, once you hit, I think it's 1,000 listings, then at some point, and I don't know exactly the number, but I think the premium is like 10,000 listings, if I'm not mistaken. At some point, you're going to want to consider moving up to that next level just because of the insertion fees. So something to consider. A lot of it has to do with what categories you sell in, because I sell in pretty much everything in this particular store. I can't really take advantage of a lot of the free listings that are given based on category. Tommy says, I get a ton of return buyers as well. They come back for products. They don't need my ugly mug telling them what they're for. Yeah, true. Not the ugly mug part, but just true about what you're saying. Buttman's, I keep calling you Buttman. I keep thinking of Biscuit Butt. Battery Man, Arizona. Buy your stuff in China and import it. My biggest thing, and I was actually looking at Zeek Analytics, and actually Zeek Analytics is one of the sponsors that contacted this channel. And I ended up turning them down because I really felt that they were more in line with drop shipping, and they really are if you think about it. But you can actually do some research with that tool. I spent some time with that tool, and it would be a really good tool to use if you're trying to research products you can sell that have high demand and low competition. There's still some out there, I'm sure. And you're not drop shipping. You're basically ordering like maybe 200, 300, 500 at a time. And you know that there's going to be a market for it, and you're into it for so cheap that even if the market adjusts it down, let's say you're selling it for $50 an item, eventually it goes maybe down to $40 an item, you're still going to be able to make money. I thought about that, but with everything going on in the world right now, and the fact that there's still not tankers, but big shipping, I can't even think straight today, big freighters out in the ocean off of the port of Los Angeles and out in China waiting to get stuff shipped out here. It just kind of is a deterrent for me. I don't want to be caught up in all that. Maybe if things improve, I might even open a store on eBay with that model. But until then, it's not an option for me, at least. Y Worker says, you got 2 thumbs up for me as I listen on both my phone and watch on the desktop. Thank you. Double dip. But don't do one thing. A lot of people will tell you to smash the like button. Don't smash the like button, because if you do, it'll like it, and then you hit it again, it'll take it away. So don't smash the like button. Just gently tap it once. Let's see. Water Baby says, you can always print up business cards to hand to garage sellers stating that you will come back and pick up their leftovers for free to save them time and hassle to take their stuff to the thrift store. Especially those folks who are actually doing those moving sales, right? Everything must go. We're moving out of state. Yeah, definitely. That's a good idea. Bubbles, Blings, and Needful Things says, she is real. Yes, she's very real. She is definitely very real. I've been telling her that she is going to have to make a video and or come join me on a live, or come and make a video with me. Maybe I'll have her drinking tea for Tommy. That way, we know she's okay. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Batman AZ says, how do you feel about people who break image rules? I report them and get those listings removed. Make them fix the images. So there's a lot of image rules out there. You're looking at a guy who violates some of them, and I'll be open and honest with you about that. As far as stealing other people's images, that is definitely, to me, it's definitely a no-no. It's definitely something you should never do. I think it's very lazy to do that. There's a lot of times I will use a stock photo. I think the example I gave to Archie was, well, how do you sell, let's say you receive a tent in a box, okay? Maybe, if you've ever removed a tent or anything like that out of a box, good luck packing it back in that box without the box bulging or even being able to close it again. So how do you sell that? Of course, now I'm dealing with, I have a bunch of drop shippers that have perfect photos in their listings, right? They don't even have the item. I have this box, and yeah, I'll take a picture of the box, let them know what they're getting in the mail. But how am I going to effectively sell something if I don't have good pictures? Maybe they want to see what, how it looks. I can't show them that if I follow the rules, right? So in that particular example, I'll use stock photos to enhance the lack of photos I have. And the reason why I justify that is because drop shippers are allowed all day long. I think eBay's seller base is probably about 20 to 25% drop shippers, and eBay frowns upon it. They know what's going on, and they're going to continue to allow it to happen because they know they make a lot of money from drop shippers. And if they got rid of every drop shipper, and it's easy to find them, they would lose a ton of money. And so we're just going to keep selling on eBay with our hands tied behind our back? Or are we going to realize that and start playing the game that they're playing? But as far as someone stealing your picture, or let's say like if I have a parts or repair item, I'll put a banner at the bottom saying for parts or repair. That way, if they don't read the listing, they'll see the photo and move on and not expect a brand new item when they should know it's broken. One busy mama to you says, don't get discouraged. Keep on keeping on. So yes, keep plugging away. I know the sales are slow for a lot of you guys. I know that it's discouraging. I know that sometimes we can say, you know what, forget this. I'm going through all this trouble to buy these items, going through all this trouble to photo these items, to test it, to make sure there's no problems with the item. And I get crickets. I get no views, and I'm just done. Okay, it's easy to say that, but you got to just keep plugging away. Maybe look at the things you can do better. Look at your listings. Improve your photos. I say this all the time. Improve the photos, improve the title, improve your price, improve your sourcing, how much you buy it for. Learn from your mistakes. When you're first starting out in this business, you can make a lot of mistakes, and a lot more than you would normally once you have the experience under your belt. And things are going to get easier, even though flipping ain't easy. Things are going to get easier, and you're going to benefit from the mistakes you make now. But don't let that stop you from continuing. Keep listing. There's people out there that want your item. You just have to find creative ways to get that item in front of them. So guys, it's about 103 people. So that's awesome. We're an hour and 12 minutes into this. I'm going to get to my garage now and get to my listings. I have a lot of stuff I need to list, and I want to get it done maybe by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight, Pacific time. And I have a lot of work I have to get done. But I just want to thank you guys. Dealing with scammers, and it's really not that big of a deal. It's going to come up very infrequently, but it's just another yet example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me today. We're over 100 people. That's awesome. And I hope to see you guys here very soon with a video coming out with. And you guys keep listening, keep making those sales. And on the way out, hit that like button. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your week.